Imagine you were walking down this really muddy, pothole-filled street.
Sounds miserable.
Right. But imagine you're also holding a fragile, like 6-month-old infant in your arms. Where are your eyes in that situation?
They're glued to my feet, obviously.
Exactly. Because human survival instinct demands it. You don't want to trip and drop a baby. But what if you saw someone carrying a baby over that exact same muddy street and they never once looked at the ground?
That would be incredibly weird.
Because their eyes were deadlocked on a second-story window of a nearby house the entire time. Today, we're doing a deep dive into an incredible stack of security logs that basically forces us to look past the obvious and start reading the tiniest, almost invisible human details.
Yeah, the data we have here from this single residential property in June of 2026, it serves as a literal masterclass in behavioral pattern recognition.
It really does.
It completely strips away that Hollywood myth of the guy in the black ski mask lurking in the bushes. It shows us what real, everyday physical surveillance actually looks like.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission today is to decode this hidden language. We want to teach you, the listener, how to spot the subtle, awkward, and honestly sometimes downright bizarre differences between everyday human quirks and calculated pre-operational reconnaissance.
What's fascinating here is that these reports document the internal struggle of people trying and failing to act normal.
Yes. The failing part is key.
Right. When someone conducts surveillance, they fight their own natural instincts.
Yeah.
And these logs capture the exact moments when that internal struggle just leaks out into their physical actions.
They need an alibi for just standing around, right? A plausible reason to be there. But the execution is where it all completely falls apart. There's this entry on June 14th about an exaggerated jogger.
Ah, yes, the jogger.
This person is moving down the street doing this highly pronounced, almost cartoonish forward and backward arm swing. But while the arms are pumping straight ahead, their head and eyes are locked at a 45-degree angle.
Just staring intensely at the property's entry points.
Exactly.
It's a glaring mechanical disconnect. I mean, natural jogging requires forward visual focus just to maintain your balance and navigate the sidewalk.
My absolute favorite, though, is the groomer from June 1st.
Oh, that one is so bizarre.
It's hilarious. A guy is walking toward the main road, using his phone camera as a mirror to groom his facial hair. The only problem is the security report explicitly notes he didn't have any facial hair.
None at all.
No beard, no mustache. He's repetitively rubbing a phantom beard while his head is conspicuously tilted toward the vehicle gate.
And we see that same clumsy performance with a dog walker recorded over multiple days, actually.
Oh, right. The leash guy.
Yeah. In one instance, the subject holds the leash in one hand, but his head is cranked at this unnatural, sustained 90-degree angle toward the property, and his free hand is pulling his hair back just enough to keep his eyes locked on the entrance doors.
Which just looks so painful to hold.
Totally. And another time, he holds his phone on speakerphone, but not up to his ear or in front of his face. He holds it down near his pocket at an awkward 45-degree angle.
So he can keep his peripheral vision on the parked cars while looking like he's deep in conversation.
Exactly.
It reminds me of really bad method actors. They're playing the role of jogger or dog walker, but they are focusing so incredibly hard on the prop, the phone, the leash, the jogging motion, that they forget how real humans behave.
Right.
I mean, a real dog walker actually looks at the dog occasionally.
Well, the underlying mechanism for this bad acting is what psychologists refer to as cognitive load.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. So the human brain has a finite amount of processing power. It is nearly impossible to naturally execute a physical cover story while simultaneously analyzing complex environmental data.
Because they aren't just looking at a pretty house.
No, not at all. They are actively mapping entry points, identifying lock types, looking for blind spots in camera coverage, tracking vehicle presence. That takes a massive amount of mental bandwidth.
That makes total sense. I know when I'm driving and looking for a specific address in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have to turn the radio down.
Perfect example.
My brain just can't process the music, the traffic, and the house numbers all at the same time.
That is the exact phenomenon. The brain dedicates so much bandwidth to the surveillance task that the cover story task basically gets starved of resources.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the natural fluidity of movement disappears. You get these rigid, exaggerated robotic behaviors, the arm pumping without looking forward, the 90-degree head turn that a normal pedestrian wouldn't sustain because it actually causes physical discomfort.
So if their brain is completely maxed out, just trying to fake a jog or like hold a leash, what happens when the physical world throws a curveball at them? They must completely miss things right in front of their feet.
They do. The physical environment basically becomes the ultimate polygraph test here.
A polygraph.
Yeah, a cover story shatters when a subject completely ignores physical obstacles.
Right.
We transition from observing just the body to observing the body in relation to the terrain.
And the details in the reports here are just staggering. Like I said earlier, the street outside this property is a mess.
Muddy puddles, potholes, loose pebbles, uneven speed humps.
It's an obstacle course.
Yeah.
Yet, going back to that hook I mentioned earlier, on June 5th, someone carries a newborn baby through this. Despite the hazards, they aren't looking at the ground. Their eyes are fixed on room lighting, closed window panes, parked cars.
And then on June 11th, an elderly woman carrying an infant does the exact same thing.
Yes, she actually pauses her walk, stopping in the mud to maintain her line of sight over the baby's head into the property's interior.
And it's not just the baby carriers. On June 15th, two loiterers are slowly navigating open gutter sections and loose pebbles.
All right.
One subject actually points at a window and grins at the other, completely oblivious to the fact that they're walking next to a literal open drop into a gutter.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate for you listening right now. Because I know what people might be thinking.
Go for it.
Doesn't everyone casually look at nice houses when they walk by? Couldn't these just be curious neighbors admiring the architecture or just wondering who lives there?
It's a fair question, but casual curiosity absolutely disappears when physical safety is at risk. We really have to push ourselves to think critically about human prioritization.
Because survival mode should kick in there.
Exactly. Deep evolutionary instinct dictates that if you are carrying a fragile newborn baby over a pothole, your eyes go to your feet.
You look at the ground to ensure you don't fall.
Right. Choosing to override that primal safety instinct to instead stare at whether a specific interior room light is on, that reveals that the observation is not casual at all. It is highly intentional and prioritized over personal safety.
Wow, that completely flips the context. It's not just a passing glance. It's a calculated risk they're willing to take to get the data they need.
Yes, and when covert surveillance risks exposure, the subject often attempts to create a smokescreen.
A smoke screen.
The deliberate choice to ignore the environment might give them away to a trained observer, right? So when they sense they were being watched, their behavior radically shifts.
Oh, the smoke screens in these logs are wild. They go from trying to blend in to doing things that are shockingly uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, they really do.
Let's look at a nighttime observation on June 16th. A subject is standing directly under a CCTV camera near the vehicle gate. To reduce scrutiny from anyone passing by, he starts touching his genital area and aggressively scratching his stomach.
It's a very specific tactic.
And on another occasion, a tenant, and later a dog walker, are documented deliberately spitting and loudly clearing nasal discharge right at the vehicle gate.
They are manufacturing a physical deterrent.
Then it gets even stranger. On June 20th, two men are loitering near a rear wall. One guy suddenly starts doing a Thai boxing routine.
Right, repeatedly simulating knee strikes aimed right at his friend's kneecaps.
But the friend completely ignores him. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't block. He just keeps looking at his phone while his buddy fake kicks him in the legs.
It's a performance completely devoid of authentic reaction.
And then there's a June 6th report, which is honestly just chilling.
The morning walk incident.
Yeah. A man stops his morning walk to fixate his gaze on a vulnerable female resident who is turned away, balancing against a wall to put on her shoes. He just stares at her.
And then he reacts?
Right. He grins, adjusts his collar, does a shushing gesture with his finger to his lips, and walks away.
But he comes back.
Yes, about 30 minutes later, he comes back to the vehicle gate and performs puya mudras. These symbolic, ritualistic air gestures of offering flowers or submission. To me, these bizarre actions are like a magician's sleight of hand.
How so?
Well, they give the cameras, the guards, or the neighbors something loud, gross, or uncomfortable to look at, so everyone misses the quiet, systematic surveillance they are actually conducting.
That's spot on. The magician wants you to look at the flashy right hand, so you ignore the left. In behavioral analysis, we categorize these specific actions under two psychological concepts:
Okay, what are they?
response testing and effective display.
I think I can guess the first one. The fake Thai boxing match isn't two friends goofing around. It's a test. They are intentionally creating a loud, aggressive disturbance right at the boundary wall to see how the environment reacts. Does the security guard step out? Do lights turn on inside the house? Do the occupants look out the window?
They're poking the fence to see if it's electrified, essentially.
Right.
That's a perfect summation. They are measuring response time and awareness levels, and the indecent behavior, the genital touching, the spitting, that weaponizes social discomfort.
Because we naturally look away.
Exactly. Human beings are socially conditioned to avert their eyes when someone does something unhygienic or inappropriate in public. By acting indecently, the subject forces passersby to look away, effectively granting themselves the privacy buffer they need to continue observing the gate without interruption.
That is so manipulative. But what about effective display? Is that like the collar adjustment and the grinning from the guy staring at the resident putting on her shoes?
Yes, an effective display is the outward manifestation of a person's internal emotional state.
So what does the collar adjustment mean?
The collar adjustment is a displacement or signaling gesture. It's a micro-expression of an adrenaline spike, a physical way of self-soothing after the thrill of the intrusion.
And the ritualistic gestures.
The ritualistic gestures upon his return indicate a high level of psychological fixation. He is no longer just gathering data. His internal fantasy or narrative about the property is spilling out into his physical actions.
Which makes it less about gathering facts and more about an emotional obsession. That is terrifying.
It really is.
Moving from physical body language, the logs also document the digital tools they use to augment all this hidden surveillance, right?
Oh, absolutely. The smartphone has completely revolutionized pre-operational reconnaissance. It provides the ultimate modern cover story.
The reports highlight a phenomenon they call the reverse selfie.
This one is fascinating.
So on June 17th, a subject carrying an office bag intentionally positions himself in a known CCTV blind spot under a camera near the vehicle gate. He holds his phone up like he's taking a selfie.
But the phone, which reportedly has a 20x optical zoom, is held at this elevated reverse angle.
Right, he's not snapping a picture of his face. He's capturing high magnification shots of the boundary walls, the locking mechanisms, and the blind spots themselves.
And we see another adaptation of this on June 16th. A subject holds their phone low, pretending to text while walking, but they are deliberately panning the device across the gate access routes, capturing a sweeping video of the physical security features.
So I have to ask this directly on behalf of you, the listener, because we all take selfies, right?
Sure.
We all text while walking down the street. So how do you actually tell the difference between a tourist framing a nice photo and a threat doing reconnaissance?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the key indicators always come down to the angle of capture and the specific target. Think about the mechanics of a legitimate selfie.
Okay.
You are centering a human face and perhaps a scenic background or a monument. The camera is angled to flatter the subject.
You want to actually see yourself in the photo.
Right. Reconnaissance photography, however, targets access points. It targets the specific make and model of a padlock on a side gate. It captures the exact height of a boundary wall, the placement of the security cameras, the vulnerabilities.
Which explains the weird angles.
Yes. The subject with the office bag wasn't centering his face. The angle was elevated to shoot over obstacles and capture the security infrastructure behind him.
And the reports mention this isn't just a random occurrence.
Not at all. The logs note that this reverse selfie behavior had been progressively expanding from January all the way through June.
Wow.
Half a year. They started by photographing the vehicle area, then over the months expanded to the sidewalls, then the rear compound. That is a systematic, methodical collection of environmental intelligence, slowly building a complete 360-degree digital model of the property's vulnerabilities. It is definitely not a tourist capturing memories.
That methodical approach is where we see the real danger. These isolated quirks, so the bad selfies, the awkward dog walking, the lip rolling, they only reveal their terrifying nature when tracked over time.
Context and repetition are everything in threat assessment. A single anomaly is just an oddity. Repeated anomalies form a pattern of intent.
Let's look back at the June 1st report. The individual pretending to groom his invisible beard was spotted at 8:35 in the morning. 14 hours later, at 10:27 p.m., that exact same individual is back.
Yes.
This time, he's the one with the dog using the awkward speakerphone cover. He returns to compare the daytime visibility against the nighttime room illumination and to check if the vehicle is parked in the same spot.
And we also see the immense physical toll this pattern building takes over time.
The reports constantly note these physical tells. Subjects rolling their lips inward until they disappear, or nervously swiping their fingers across their jawlines.
It's happening on June 5th, June 16th.
Right. It's a subconscious physical reaction to the cognitive load of trying to memorize a complex physical layout while pretending to act normal.
They are burning massive amounts of mental energy, and their bodies are betraying that stress.
But then, the tension in these reports really shifts. The surveillance goes from being careful and hidden to incredibly rushed and dangerous.
The escalation phase.
Yeah, let's talk about the scooter incident on June 19th. Two subjects are scanning the perimeter on foot in the afternoon. A little while later, they return on a scooter. The driver has no helmet.
And he is driving one-handed because he's holding his phone to his ear, actively on a call.
Right. He approaches the property gate and does this sharp, aggressive, zigzagging U-turn right at the entrance. It's so reckless he nearly throws the passenger completely off the back of the scooter.
A shocking display of instability.
And we see a similar nighttime escalation on May 31st. At 12:30 in the morning, two men, again with no helmets, do a slow, creeping ride-through on a motorcycle, specifically to map which residential windows still have lights on. I don't get it, though. If they spent 5 months being so careful to blend in with fake selfies and dog walks, why suddenly drive like maniacs and draw all this attention to themselves? It seems like a massive contradiction.
Well, this raises an important question regarding how we assess the life cycle of a threat.
Okay.
In the early stages, January through May, the subjects are careful. They use the dog walking covers, the method acting. They want to remain undetected because they are still assessing the viability of the targets.
Deciding if it's worth the risk.
Exactly. Repetition confirms intent. When someone comes back to map the same exact layout at different hours of the day and night, it shows they are building a comprehensive operational pattern.
Right.
When we see that behavioral shift into reckless driving, the helmetless, one-handed U-turns, it indicates a severe narrowing of focus.
Tunnel vision.
Yes. The subject becomes so hyper-fixated on the target property, so consumed with getting the final piece of intelligence or executing the next phase, that they completely disregard their own personal safety and their broader situational awareness.
They just don't care anymore.
They don't care about a head injury. They don't care about a traffic accident. The target has become their entire world. The surveillance has transitioned from passive intelligence gathering to active, pre-operational escalation.
The mask of normalcy just falls off because they're too close to the finish line to care.
That is why logging these minor early indicators is so critical. If you only look for the reckless U-turn, you've missed 6 months of planning.
Man, what an incredible journey through this data set. To you, the listener, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. We started by looking at those bad method-acting dog joggers, struggling under the cognitive load of a fake cover story.
Yep.
We saw how evolutionary instincts betray them when they ignore muddy potholes just to stare at a window. We explored the bizarre smoke screens like fake Thai boxing and indecent exposure, all the way to the high-tech reverse selfie, leading up to that reckless tunnel vision scooter ride.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. And we didn't do this deep dive to make you paranoid. The goal here is to upgrade your own situational awareness as you move through your daily life.
Because knowledge is most valuable when it is understood and actively applied. We are all living in a world of constant information overload.
For sure.
But understanding these specific psychological indicators allows you to cut through that noise. It's like learning how to read the tells in a high-stakes poker game. Once you know what a bluff looks like, you stop looking at the cards and you start looking at the player.
Once you know what to look for,
Yeah.
you literally can't unsee it. But before we go, I want to leave you with a brand new, lingering question to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We just spent this entire time looking at the fascinating ways strangers try to secretly map out a property. But let's flip that perspective for a second. If a complete stranger with a smartphone and a dog leash can map out an entire family's life just by watching which rooms light up at night, or noticing when the car is in the driveway, what invisible patterns are you broadcasting to the world right now without even realizing it?